This is part 4 in a 4-part series on binding, and today I'd like to talk about using binding tape to hold the binding in place while it is being glued. Although we call it a binding tape, it's not really a sticky back tape at all. It's a fabric. It's very flexible. In the fabric industry it's called a twill, and it's very strong and it'll hold really securely. You can draw down on it. We hold our instruments in fixtures in a vise so that they're secured by the neck and they hang out freely over the vise. Gives us plenty of room to work around them as we're applying the binding and the tape. And then we apply a fairly judicious amount of cement into the binding notch. We use Duco cement for our binding because the Duco will attack the celluloid and soften its surface and actually push the softened surface into the pores of the wood. It creates a very good bond. And we just help the binding in place and then begin to pull the binding tape down around the instrument. Even if the binding tape gets stuck to the instrument or glue gets to it, it really won't hurt anything, and eventually we replace the binding tape after maybe 30 or 40 usages because some of the glue does get on the tape, but it doesn't affect anything. And just keep working along, pull very snugly so that the binding is pulled tightly into the notch, really drawing down on it pretty hard. Keep coming about it at different points of the mandolin so we're approaching the binding from directly across. Now I'm going to come around from the scroll. You'll notice we're pulling down on the tape, and this pulls the binding down into the notch. You want to think about that when you get ready so that you're not pulling up on the tape, pulling the binding out of the notch. Once the binding's in place, again pulling down. We'll go around several times so that we can pull this little corner securely in here. 3 or 4 turns until we get it in there snugly. And then we'll make a couple loose wraps after this just so the binding tape won't let free. And the next part's really pretty simple. Come around and find a place to just tuck it in. It doesn't have to be tight because the binding tape itself is sort of held securely, but this is just to keep it from unraveling by accident so it doesn't come loose while we're working. Really pretty easy to do and very, very easy to use. We pull it down pretty hard in the corners to draw the corners in. Here you see the last bottom piece of binding is held in place. Same when we do the little upper piece by the upper point.